Hello good yo-yo people, I'm Nate and this is Let's Talk Yo-Yo. Today, before we get into the review, I wanted to kind of start adding some little more personal touch, I guess you could say that. Yeah, that's what we'll call it, a personal touch to some of my YouTube videos. I know a lot of you who are into the hobby of yo-yo, this is not your only hobby. I kind of joke around with my wife that if I had the time and leisure, I would probably collect hobbies for a living. That I could probably retire before I'm 40 and be okay with that. I'd have plenty to do and keep myself busy. One of my hobbies is I love comic books. I love reading comic books more than collecting. I used to collect a lot and it just took up way too much space and time and money. I mostly buy trade backs right now and kind of follow artists I like, writers I like, and just kind of whatever. I mostly read things from Marvel, but I'm a big fan of Tom King, and his run of Batman in particular has really caught my interest, and so I'm catching up. This is actually from the library. Libraries are fantastic. I don't know if you know that. Local libraries, hit them up. My library has some great, a great collection of comics and graphic novels. So anyways, this is the most recent volume 8, catching up on Tom King's Batman. Batman just had his 80th birthday. Looking spry there, old man. That's enough of that. On to today's review. All right. So today I am reviewing the latest release from SF YoYos, the plastic. No vowels, all right? The plastic. All right, here we go. If you don't know, this is SF's first attempt at a injection molded yo-yo. They had a Palm or Delrin yo-yo a while back, but this is their first like real plastic, you know, made from a mold, that kind of thing. And I would recommend, if you have the time, to go onto their website and check out their blog post on there about kind of their process with it and how this has always been sort of a pipe dream of theirs, and they finally are able to make that dream a reality. And I think they did a fantastic job. So this is the plastic. First off, messaging back and forth with them, he was like, you might like this sort of homage, that's French, right? I feel French. Homage to the Enyo, sort of. This is what they were trying to get at with this. And it might be kind of hard to catch it on camera here, but it's not just this milky white. It reflects that sort of rainbowy. If you're familiar with Enyo type of plastic color, that's exactly what's going on here. Anyway, so this is a full plastic yo-yo. There's a lot going into a plastic, you know, more than you realize. You know, they're typically a lot cheaper, but the upfront cost for a manufacturer, for a company, is quite a lot. And so to really do it well, it's a gamble, you know. And so SF is finally in a place where they're able to do this and do it well. And so I think they hit the mark there right up front. I think they hit the mark as far as approaching this with good business practice and doing the best that they can. So it's let's talk about the shape a little bit. The shape here is it's an H-shaped yo-yo, really nice and comfortable size, width, diameter, all that pretty standard. Nothing super edgy or progressive in a way that is going to make it just, I don't know, too gimmicky maybe, or and I think that's a really good approach for a plastic, is to not necessarily make something that's, I don't know, really going to be pushing the envelope as far as just those little, I don't know, you know what I'm talking about, where like some yo-yos tend to be a little more novelty because like their design itself is a little bit more cutting edge or pushy, and sometimes that doesn't always work. I think on a plastic, something like a traditional shape and just an overall sort of feel is really good to do, especially whenever, you know, this is your first one and this is something you're trying to sell a lot of. I think of the Recess First Base as a good example of that as well. It's an organic yo-yo. It's fairly comfortable. It's not nothing extreme about the design, nothing super edgy or that wouldn't fit, you know, certain people's play style. This is the same kind of thing, but it's fairly light on the specs. It feels nice and light in the hand, which is really nice. But you know, one of the things I really like about the design here is how smooth all the edges are. I mean, it's very much feels like it's almost been lathed and not injection molded. And one of the giveaways to that for me in the little details, let's focus here. Yeah, so right here on the hubs, a lot of times on injection molded yo-yos, you have just sort of the plastic leftovers there, you know, and a lot of times they'll throw a logo or a design over top of that to kind of mask that some. Now, because it's unbranded, that would be obvious, right? It would show. I'm not sure what their process exactly is, but it's basically been sanded off. I don't think that naturally came off of the machine. I don't know enough about all that. Maybe SF themselves could kind of plug in here on that. But the reality is that the little details really work for this yo-yo. And I don't know, it's just overall, the execution is really good. The gap on there, let's take it apart here so you can see just how smooth the gap is too. And speaking of just kind of those smooth corners, okay, hold on, there we go. You see there, it's just, there's no edge there. It's just nice and rounded off. And so it's just gonna be a really good player in spite of it being a plastic or not. And you can't really beat the price point. And so if you're into plastics, if you like plastic yo-yos, I like plastic yo-yos a lot. They just have a nice feel in the hand. It's very different. And it's especially really nice whenever it's cold outside. You can grab something if you play outside a lot like myself. It's not cold right now by any means. Let's go and actually play it and see how it plays, all right? All right, welcome back to the On the String section with the Plastic by SF YoYos. Yeah, you know what? I talked about in the hand section how sort of lighter on the specs it was. And I feel like plastic a lot of times, maybe just because of the material it is, just tends to feel lighter anyways than maybe even the specs sort of kind of show you. This yo-yo does play fairly light on the string for me. And at first I was like, wow, that's really light from the first throw. And I was kind of worried, oh, is it gonna kind of take away some of that spin time a little bit? But I really haven't noticed that at all. I feel like it's just about where it needs to be as far as how light it could be. I think much lighter and you would maybe lose a little spin time, but it's just right exactly where you want it, which, you know, SF does really good design. They know what they're doing as far as designing yo-yos. And so they are able to push just a little bit right at the edge to say, okay, this is exactly how light it's gonna be. Or how it's gonna feel, because if it was a little bit more or less, it wouldn't be where we want it. You can definitely feel that the plastic was not a rushed product by any means. It was a brainchild at first probably, but then you could tell that it was something that they were very deliberate about every choice that they made. And something like the weight seems very deliberate to me. One of the things I really like about the design on this too is that gap. It's a very smooth gap. Binds are really good as well. I'm throwing Prestige string. Hey, thank you so much guys for those who have supported this string, by the way, through ZipLine. You know, they're my sponsor, and I have a signature string through them called the Prestige, if you don't know that. It's a fantastic string. If you haven't checked it out, you should definitely go check it out. But thank you for those who have supported this string, and I hope that you enjoy it and like it and continue to like it. It's going to be continue to be available, so be checking the website every month on ZipLine. Let's go ahead and throw some rejections just to kind of see what just nicked my beard. Yeah, rejections are good. Like I said, binds are really good too. Regens are really solid too. You know, as far as stability is concerned, it's really nice and stable. That's what you kind of get with, you know, a lot of H-shape yo-yos anyways, a lot of rim weight. Of course, with a plastic yo-yo that's just a simple mono plastic, you really have some difficulty sometimes creating a lot of rim weight without it being something like a metal hybrid but they did a really good job of pushing as much as they could to the rims. It's really nice and beefy there. You know, as far as smoothness, it's one of the smoother plastics I've played. You know, you get that just plastic sort of natural vibe to it. Man, this guy is really, really smooth. It is finger spin ready as well. So you can kind of pop it up in there. It doesn't center, but it locks in enough that you can do finger spins. On a grind, that finish is actually really good too. It has, I didn't mention this really too much in the hand section, I should have, but there is sort of like almost like a blast sort of finish to it. It's really nice and silky without it being tacky at all. A lot of plastics, you know, coming off the machine are really tacky. I think maybe that tumbling also helped take away what would be that mold mark that's in the center typically. So that might have been it actually. I'm not sure how they've tumbled them or what process. Again, maybe SF can chime in here. Horizontal is actually really good as well. It plays a lot like a really good H shape. I would say that the plastic here is very competition friendly as well. It may not give you as long of a spin times as something like a full metal or a bimetal or something like that. But for a plastic, this is right on the money for what you would want for a competition friendly yo-yo. Really good stability, good spin times as well. Yeah, the only thing it wouldn't have intentionally is a like IRG, if you're into that, but you can kind of tilt it, I guess, but it kind of falls out a little bit as well. All right, let's go ahead and throw a trick. This is a trick that is unfinished. So, but I told you a couple reviews back, there was a mount that I was kind of messing with, and this is what I got so far. All right, here's the unfinished trick. All right, like I said, unfinished. I don't know what to do with that last part, but I really like this sort of, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I like that part. I don't know what that is, but I like it. Anyways, that's all that matters, right? If you don't like the tricks that you throw, don't throw them. There's your PSA from this old thrower. Right, so the plastic. I was really excited to see SF put out a plastic. I knew they were gonna do it well, and they did. This is a fantastic yo-yo, one that I'll probably own a bunch of. I'm excited to see if they choose to do any branding at all. I think there could be some really cool potential for that, for some art on the hubs as well. But I like the fact that it's nice and clean. If it's their brand of SF, but they have engraved some of their yo-yos in the past, so it's possible that they will. But I like the first couple colors of this. I've seen the pink one, that's really cool. If you've not seen that under black light, it's pretty cool. But yeah, it's a really, really good plastic yo-yo, and I'm glad that they put one out. I'm glad they took their time with it, and I'm excited to see that it's received well. That's my review of the plastic by SF YoYos, and as usual, good day and good yo-yo.